So this is the story of what happened between this moment and making it back to the hotel. What happened on that walk back to the hotel room after one of the biggest Titans losses in my entire life? I did what any other mature 26-year-old grown man would do. I picked up my phone and went on Twitter. We're gonna tell the entire story now that I've had a few days to look back on it, a few days to kind of process everything that happened. We start things off with a nice little selfie. I had decent seats, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. Nice little shout out for the Twitter account too, this video is. So if you have a Twitter account out there and actually want me to smile following the Titans loss, give me something to smile about, you can click the link in the description box below, give me a follow and give me something to smile about. But yeah, this was kind of the calm before the storm. I was actually happy. Little did this guy know what was about to happen the next 3 hours. Oh, I bet nobody gets what this tweet was talking about. Jesus Christ, tweeted good start because first play of the game, Ryan Tannehill throws a pick, dude. You clinched the first round bye, so you have 2 weeks to prepare for what is one of the biggest home games of the last decade. After all that time, you come out first play and throw a pick in like double coverage, dude. Like, there's just so many different things that could happen. Like, as soon as that happened, I just knew this is playoff Tannehill. I thought maybe this year would be different, maybe third time's a charm, but nah, dude. Literally gave Joe Burrow and the Bengals 3 free points after play number 1. Not only did the Bengals start the game off by winning the toss, deferring so they can get the ball at the start of the second half, they literally got 3 free points from starting the game off on defense, which actually ended up being the point difference at the end of the game. So once again, Ryan Tannehill, great job. We're still not to the end of the game yet, but that doesn't mean the pain hadn't begun to start. Tannehill has literally completely killed the atmosphere in the stadium twice now, and he did. They literally opened the gates up 2 hours before kickoff so they can have everybody pilot into the stadium, hyping everybody up with all the tunnel walkouts, with the video board playing all these hype videos. Got Jarrell Casey there, so 12th man of honor, and then you come out with the stadium buzzing, it's electric, and he throw a goddamn pick play 1. Like, oh my god. And this was after they throw the interception, after the long Deonta Foreman run. Like, I was actually in line for the bathroom and saw on a TV the Deonta Foreman run, was all excited, went, took a piss, came out, and somehow the Bengals had the ball. We went from first and goal to the Bengals having the ball. I was so confused. I was so sad. So sad that I did the thing every other mature 26-year-old would do, and I tweeted. Had to get the dopamine release somehow. And we're gonna talk about some of this stuff more in depth. This is still before the game ended. This is still before the walk back to the hotel room when everything gets crazy. But I did say, what do the Seahawks want in return for Russell Wilson? Because there's rumors that Russell's gonna be going now. The replies are so funny. Don't be so quick to blame. I bet you may be regretting this now. Tannehill responds to your doubts with an absolute dime. Nah, dude, screw Tannehill. I would so much rather have Russell Wilson. And before we get into any more Titans slander, Titans meltdown talk, allow me to give myself a chance to smile as we listen to a quick word from today's sponsor. I would like to give a massive shout out to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Factor makes meeting your nutritional goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Factor's team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Factor cuts out the stressful and tedious meal planning and all the extensive prepping. With Factor, there's no prep, there's no mess. And matter of fact, Factor meals come pre-prepared and actually are ready to eat within 2 minutes. Even faster than it would be if you ordered in. Factor offers keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and vegan and veggie options, which include seafood, meat, and plant-based meals. Meal plans range anywhere from 4 to 18 meals per week, and you can add more or maybe reduce the meals depending on your specific needs. Factor's actually really aiding helping me stick to my routine. You know what you're eating's quality. You don't have to worry about the mess. You don't have to worry about the prep. You don't have to worry about the weight either, dude. It literally takes 2 minutes to come together. With Factor, you can cut down on your grocery trips, and overall just saves you so much time. I think my favorite meal I've had so far is definitely the pork tenderloin. Oh my god, it's actually really good. And right now, if you head over to go.factor75.com/plans and use code RBT120, you get $120 off your first 5 weeks of meals. Once again, that's go.factor75.com/plans and use code RBT120 to get $120 off your first 5 weeks of meals. But seriously though, Seahawks fans, what do you want in return for Russell Wilson? Like, you saw what Matthew Stafford got the Lions last year, and nobody thought Jared Goff and his contract had any chance of being moved, and it did. I'm not saying this is gonna happen, obviously, or this is even a realistic possibility, but bro, if we could ship on Ryan Tannehill, maybe a player or two, and a couple first-round draft picks for Russell Wilson, I would take it. Oh, here we go. This is where we lose. I literally think I tweeted before I even walked out the stadium. I just had to release somehow, and we get to the point where you should never lose a game when you sack the opposing QB 9 times. This is all on Tannehill. Move on from him ASAP. I actually got a lot of likes, and to be honest, dude, how does that happen? How do you sack the opposing quarterback 9 times and still lose? Literally, I will die on this hill. Every single player played their heart out. Every single player had a heck of a game aside from our most paid player, our freaking quarterback. The cap hit a $38 million, and it's depressing. It's depressing knowing you have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, all in the same conference as you, and then you have Ryan Tannehill as your starting quarterback. Thing is, like, I genuinely believe this. Like, Ryan Tannehill, like, he has his flashes in the regular season. His first 2 years in the regular season, he was great, but none, absolutely zero of that matters if you cannot win in the playoffs. If you play like he does in the playoffs, like, there's no point in even having the regular season that you have. So I am a very, very strong advocate that if there's any possible way the Titans can move on from him, even if they just draft a first-round quarterback to at least give him some competition, because he does not have competition right now at the quarterback position with freaking Logan Woodside as our backup. That's just not gonna push Ryan Tannehill to play like he should. Like I said, he has his flashes, but he's just not a good quarterback in the playoffs. He's just not a quarterback that I'm comfortable having when your team has Super Bowl aspirations. So I'm sitting here all depressed and like, what does it even matter? They're not gonna be able to move on from him. His cap hit, his dead money is too ridiculous. You never know. I mean, Jared Goff did get moved, but like, that would just take an absolute miracle. Let's move on. And it's so funny, I don't know if I can show you, when you're in meltdown mode and your only release as you're walking back in 15-degree weather is your Twitter account, you literally send out these tweets within seconds of each other. Already mentioned it, literally everybody had a heck of a game aside from our highest paid player. Just unacceptable. Like, you think about the games we lost this year, Ryan Tannehill was horrible in almost every single one. Think about the Texans game. Didn't he have 4 picks in that one? A playoff game against Joe Burrow? Jamar Chase and one of the hottest teams in the league, he threw 3 picks. He literally threw an interception. First play from scrimmage, his first pass attempt of the second half, and his final pass attempt of the game. Jesus, you cannot do that when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Now, I know I'm completely disregarding the fact of our offensive coordinator, Todd Downing. He's an absolute moron, absolute moronic moron. I genuinely believe if Arthur Smith was still our offensive coordinator, we would at least beat the Bengals, because some of the scripted plays Todd Downing comes out and calls after having 2 weeks of preparation is absolutely diabolical. The bubble screen that got intercepted on the goal line, horrible play call. You're sitting there running the ball down their throat the entire drive. You go down there, just decide to throw another pick. When already earlier in the game, that same exact play call around the 40-yard line almost already got picked off by the same guy. And this one's true too. Imagine this Titans team with your average game changer at quarterback who doesn't throw 3 interceptions when everything is on the line. Once again, that is true. I would 100% compromise and take a quarterback that doesn't make some of the crazy plays like Tannehill does, some of the crazy throws, but at the same time, if that guy doesn't throw 3 interceptions when you're trying to beat one of the hottest teams in football, I would take that guy 100% of the time. You just can't be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback and just make some of the throws, make some of the decisions that he made. It's just a combination of the OC, him. It's just not a match made in heaven. I mean, when you have AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, Julio Jones all in the same offense and you can only muster up 16 points, just not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. Now, this one, honestly, I still kind of vibe with it. I'm dead serious. I want Gardner Minshew. You probably could get Gardner Minshew for a late round draft pick, and he is the perfect guy to push Ryan Tannehill. If you don't draft a quarterback in the first round, I would be over the moon if a Kenny Pickett or a Carson Strong fell to us at the end of the first round, because we've got to start thinking about life after Ryan Tannehill. But a guy like Gardner Minshew honestly would be perfect for our situation. I know the Eagles probably don't want to move on from him, but still, like, he's just the ideal guy I feel like we could use in Tennessee. Obviously, I think Tannehill, his athleticism is very underrated. Like, he's made so many plays with his feet that have won us football games that a lot of people don't acknowledge. But at the same time, I would trade his athleticism for a guy like Gardner Minshew who doesn't throw 3 interceptions when your team needs it the most. 2 weeks of preparation, biggest home playoff game in over 10 years, you come out and play one and throw an interception. It was really horrible. Like, watching it live, alive. If Julio Jones stayed down the field on a fly route, maybe there's a shot there, and why not, like, maybe take a deep shot, maybe, like, draw a defensive pass interference? Not set yourself up for interception where you already give one of the hottest offenses in football field goal position on first play of the game. Like, that's just literally, like, right then and there, like, I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I knew right there in that moment, this game was going to end off with something bad happening. You just don't throw an interception first play of the game and or happen. Like, this is the stuff where, like, obviously I know the coaches aren't going to come out and blame one player, but Vrabel in his press conference post-game said it's never about one player, but in this instance, it really is. That's what I said. It really is this game. I'm full force, 100% under the impression if our backup quarterback would have played and we ran the ball every single play, even knowing some of the drives we might have gone 3 and out and got like 2 yards a carry, if you take away those 3 turnovers, I genuinely believe we end up winning this game, not to mention the freaking extra point we could have had. Now keep in mind, all these tweets are coming back to back to back. I mean, Jesus, some people thought I'd lost my mind probably. I mean, at this point, I had lost my mind. Had to get some sort of release, had to get over this somehow. But like I said, I'm a mature, almost 27-year-old man. The best way for me to get artificial dopamine releases is to take my frustration to the Twitter. The 2019 playoff run was literally the worst thing to happen to the Titans. We seriously could have had Tom Brady, but gave Tannehill $100 million. There was multiple moments where the Titans were the betting favorite to land Tom Brady. Now, obviously, there had to be some sort of like inside sources there to even come up with those odds. It just made a lot of sense at the time. But genuinely, I think the Titans were blinded at the fact of how Tannehill did play and brought him on that magical playoff run to the AFC Championship game. But instead of going after the greatest player in the history of sports, you decided to give Ryan Tannehill $100 million. Pretty much was locked in with that contract for 4 years and really no way to get rid of him because he's just worth so much money, so much dead money. Genuinely believe if the Titans don't make that playoff run, maybe if they only win one of the games, I genuinely believe we had a realistic chance to sign Tom Brady. And you see how Brady's played the last few years. Imagine him in the Titans offense. Derrick Henry to hand off to, Donta Foreman to hand off to now, AJ Brown to throw to, Julio Jones to throw to. Tom Brady's done a lot more with a lot less around them. Come on, Buccaneers, let's do a straight up Ryan Tannehill for Tom Brady swap. Let's do it. And this is where it clicked, the fact that he threw an interception on the first play of the game, first play of the second half, and his final pass of the game. Like, this right here is nothing but poetry written by Ryan Tannehill himself. Like, it's just so cliche that this is how he performed. Like, I know it's just such a what-if scenario, and obviously the Titans still could have lost, but just imagine how different things could have been if you don't throw an interception. Play number 1. That stadium was rocking, and like when he threw that interception, it was just like a balloon pop. The stadium didn't get back to those levels until Lonnie Hooker got the interception later in the game. Like the stadium was still loud, but you just can't throw an interception first play from scrimmage and expect the fans to keep that level of enthusiasm. It's just not possible. And this one is so unbelievable. You guys know Not the Expert, fantastic YouTuber. He texted me this earlier in the day, and it's just unbelievable. Basically, a friend that I met through Not the Expert, he was at the game, and he was at the game because he grew up babysitting the kicker of the Bengals that put us out of the playoffs. The man was banging field goals left and right the entire game, was right down the middle with every single one of them in super cold conditions. It was pretty windy there, but right down the middle every single time. He's the one to eliminate us single-handedly from the playoffs. Knowing that Connor was just sitting in the stands with the McPherson family, just had to throw that one in there. This is where I started to get really wild. Ryan Tannehill, our 2022 first, third, and fourth, our 2023 first, second, and fourth, and another player for Russell Wilson, deal or no deal. I know a lot of people said that's ridiculous, but like, you think about it, Russell Wilson, I would do whatever it takes to bring in either Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers, and we'll get to that in a minute. Like, that does seem like a lot, but not really when it comes down to the fact that it's freaking Russell Wilson. It's just sad because I know this team has such a small Super Bowl window, and I still expect us to be competitive next year, and as long as Mike Vrabel's the head coach, when you think about the quarterbacks in the same conference, it just doesn't seem pleasant. So genuinely, like, I would 100% not be against doing exactly what the Rams did, go all out, throw everything out of the window to bring in a quarterback that give you a chance to win that year, maybe the next year. Now, as we start to end things off, we get a little bit closer to the hotel room. I started to, think about the positives, and it was a fun day, it was a wild day, and it was really cool because I did get to meet like 20, 25 of you. It was so much fun, and that's one of my favorite things, dude. Love sitting there just chatting with you, talking to you guys. It's the most fun thing in the world. If you're watching this, and if you're one of the guys that I didn't meet, thank you so much for watching the channel. It was a pleasure to meet every single one of you. I thought it stopped there. It didn't. Now, I genuinely do believe something super shocking is going to happen this offseason. I believe either Julio will get released or traded. Same thing with Henry. Same thing with Tannehill. He can't get released, though. He has way too much dead money. Maybe somebody could pick up most of that contract in a trade. Todd Downing being fired, the OC, I mean, maybe that would be really shocking, and maybe Taylor Lewan gets traded or released as well, just because of cap reasons. I know this is very unlikely, but they do have an opt-out year for Henry and Julio where they wouldn't lose a lot of money if they cut them. Now, I obviously, if it's down to me, I don't do either of these things. Definitely could see them trying to save money, though, with Lewan. Who knows? I kind of just hope this thing happens. And we end things off with, all right, Titans, how we getting Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, I don't care. Just get me a new quarterback.